Hey there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever done a secret handshake that summoned the devil, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and you can talk to me on Cacao Talk.
I'm Nico. I'm going to see how long I can go with an Australian accent this episode, I am.
Well, I'm Dan, and I'm the only one in the group with the blue text.
And we're here today to review Talk to Me. That's right, this movie was directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, starring Sophie Wilde as Mia, Joe Bird as Riley, Alexandra Jensen as Jade, Zoe Tarakis as Haley, and Otis Donji as Daniel. So, we open with a young man at a party looking for his brother. He finds him only for his brother to stab him and then kill himself. Wow! Well, after that, we start for real with Mia and her bestie Jade. You see, Mia's mom died 2 years ago, and she's got a strained relationship with her father. As a result, she's really close with Jade's family, including Jade's younger brother Riley, and Jade's boyfriend Daniel, who Mia dated briefly in the past, and still may or may not have feelings for. More on that later. Well, one day, Mia and Jade get invited to a party where the hosts have a mysterious hand that possesses people. Jade thinks it's dumb, but they head out to the party with Riley in tow. Nico, what happens next?
I guess you could say trouble is afoot. At the party, the three meet up with Daniel, and the festivities begin. The hand's revealed, and the two hosts, Haley and Joss, tell everyone the rules. You gotta light a candle and then grab the hand and say, "Talk to me," and a spirit will appear. From there, you gotta say, "I let you in," and the spirit will possess you. The hosts keep track of the time because there's a 90-second limit on the possession. Otherwise, the spirit will not want to leave. And to end the ritual, you have to let go of the hand and blow out the candle. Also, if you just so happen to die whilst possessed, your spirit will be stuck in limbo. Mia volunteers and is summarily possessed, but just barely exceeds the 90-second time limit.
All right, well, talking about exceeding the 90-second time limit, Dan, what happens later?
Well, that night, Mia spends the night at Jade's house, and Riley sleeps with her because he's afraid of what happened earlier. The thing is, Mia isn't scared. She's actually exhilarated and wants to do it again. The following day, they organize a party at Jade's house with all the partygoers taking turns being possessed and almost getting high on the feeling. Riley wants a turn, but Jade says no and leaves the room. Riley insists, and Mia gives him permission, saying that he can do it, but they have to stop after 50 seconds. Things take a turn, though, when Riley is possessed by Mia's mom, of all people.
Shock and awe. Well, Mia wants to talk to her mom, so badly, in fact, that she loses track of time, and Riley goes well past the 90-second time limit. He goes insane from the possession, attempting to kill himself by bashing his face into various pieces of furniture and house fixtures. Riley then gets taken to the hospital, where Jade blames Mia for everything that happened. Riley's mom also blames Mia because you see Mia smoked pot like one time, and now Riley's mom apparently thinks she's a druggie. On top of this, Mia has actually started seeing her mom's spirit without even having to touch the hand or do the ritual. Daniel's not so judgmental, though, and he drives Mia home. And on top of that, he needs a place to crash, so Mia lets him stay at her place. Literally, I really want to stay at your house. But Nico, talking about sorrow, what happens next?
That night, Mia has a dream about romantically being with Daniel. When she wakes up, she sees a spirit sucking on Daniel's foot, though, and she's like, "Ayo, what the fuck is going on?" But when Daniel wakes up, he sees Mia sucking on his foot.
Slob on the dogs?
But she didn't. But she denies it. Daniel leaves, and Mia, who secretly stole the hand, uses it to talk to her mom and find comfort in that. She doesn't end the ritual, though. Oh well, surely this can't come back to bite her in the ass. Mia meets back up with her friends, though, and they track down the guy who got stabbed by his brother at the start of the movie. And he says that the body will naturally reject the spirit over time. Thing is, this doesn't appear to be happening with Riley, who tries to violently kill himself every time he gains consciousness. It's not a good time. Mia attempts to do the ritual with a hand again with Riley, thinking that last time they just didn't end it properly. But even that doesn't appear to work. Mia then sees a vision of Riley's soul in limbo being hardcore tortured.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dan, I know you can bring this one to a solid conclusion, so how's this all wrap up?
Mia heads home, and her father tells her that her mother killed herself and left a suicide note, which is something that her mother's spirit denies. She also tells Mia that Riley needs her help. A spirit takes the appearance of her father and attacks Mia, which causes her to inadvertently stab her father, killing him. Immediately after, her mother's spirit leads Mia on, indicating Riley has to die in order to be freed. Mia heads to the hospital and kidnaps Riley in a wheelchair. Mia takes Riley to a bridge over the highway, and her mother urges her to kill Riley. But Mia actually is the one who goes flying off the side of the bridge and gets run over. She then awakens back in a hospital, but nobody can hear her, and she is slowly consumed by darkness. The movie ends with someone else starting the ritual with the hand, and Mia's spirit is the one that's summoned. The end.
All right, well, we got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and talk, shall we? First, Nico, looks. How's this one look?
It looks really impressive considering it was made, written, authored by whatever verb you want to use by two YouTubers, and it just like went this far and got picked up by A24, and it's got that similar sort of sheen that a lot of A24 films have. I think the design of the spirits was really interesting. They always looked just terrifying and menacing whenever they were on screen, and I think it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Dan, what's your thoughts on the looks?
Yeah, I agree. I liked how the spirits looked. They were all kind of like bloated and fucked up a little bit, and I have nothing much more to add to that.
So, thus begins my chronicle page 1 of my issues with this movie, looks. So, in my opinion, the film is often shot from a more sort of dramatic point of view than, say, a horrifying point of view. Like, there are a lot of techniques that are more so associated, I feel like, with drama and stuff like that, playing up that side of it, than there is horror a lot of the time. Like, for example, there's a part where Mia in the hospital where she sees her mom, and there's the scene in the bathroom, and immediately after that, she's in the hospital, but what we see there in that shot is not fear or anything like that. It's more so drama and disassociation, which is pretty much how I would say the majority of the film is shot, to play up that side of it rather than the horror side of it.
Is that
That's
an
not
issue?
to say, huh?
Is that an issue? When you say that, like that's a bad thing.
Well, in my opinion, I do. The reason why I think that's an issue is because I think it leads to this being an ineffective horror. Insofar as if the goal is to scare me, then I don't think the cinematography lends itself to that for a large chunk of the movie. So that's my thought about the cinematography. But let's shift course here to sound. And Nico, what do you think about the sound?
I think the super hot fire bars that we heard from the very local Australian rap battle tracks were a aural treat to experience in a movie about possession.
I mean, hey, why the fuck not? It's not like there's a genre called possession core. I feel like people can do what they want with
Yeah,
the
fuck,
soundtrack.
why not?
Yeah. But I will say right fast. My boy Sadistic is on this fucking movie. I'm so psyched for him, bro. I am so fucking psyched for my boy Sadistic, man.
Maybe he can sound happy for once now.
He did it. He fucking did it. I don't know if it's just one track or two tracks. I thought one of the tracks on there's like a brief little interlude. There was a joint he did with No, and I thought that's what it was on the first part, but he has the track at the end that play over the end credits. And I gotta say, Sadistic, you'll never hear this, But bro, I've been a big fan since Flowers for My Father. Oh, so yeah, I was extremely happy to hear that. And the rest of the soundtrack, I thought at times eclectic, but otherwise, I didn't have a problem with it. Dan, how about you?
I liked it. Again, kind of like visuals. I'm going to echo what you guys said. Soundtrack was bumping when it was bumping. I liked the voice changing when they were like being possessed and things.
That was a lot of fun.
It wasn't done like it was like over the top or anything, but it was enough to be like creepy and get the
The
possession.
French singing was a nice little touch,
I thought the French singing part was cool.
right?
So yeah, I liked it.
All right. Well, let's get down now and get to the the steak that was on the Barbie, if you will, and get to the meat of this. So, let's start at the ending.
How do you
Thoughts
guys
on
order
it?
your steaks?
Medium rare.
Yeah, same.
Okay, good. Continue.
So, thoughts on the ending. First off, what did you guys think about the ending?
I liked the ending. I thought it was cool that she comes back as the spirit later on, or at the end, to be called in. I also kind of liked that from her perspective as a spirit, the hand is a real hand and not like a ceramic hand. But that was kind of a cool little detail. I'm not entirely sure if, I assume that Mia is the one who jumps off onto the road to kill herself, but I'm not entirely sure if she is because we don't actually see that happen. And I know her friend Jade was kind of like running to catch up with her, and Jade thinks that she's dangerous. So I'm wondering if like Jade maybe pushed her off and killed her or something to protect her brother. I don't quite know, but I lean towards Mia killing herself. But
All right. Well, Nico, first off, what is your thought about the generalized ending of the movie, and how do you think Mia died?
I liked the ending. I will say I called it from the instant we saw the scene with the kangaroo. Like, I knew there was going to be a moment where that Mia was just going to have to deal with more or less putting little homie down. But I do think that she chose to just, side B and Falcon kick herself onto the highway.
So,
Shit, it's down B. I'm sorry, Nerds Everywhere, I've let you down.
hey, the over B is the punch. But hey, we'll let you live. We'll let you live. But
it's the uppercut, right?
oh, sorry, you're right. It's an uppercut. Uppercut's a punch, though, isn't it? He goes, hey. Anyway,
Yeah,
I would
but when you
call an
say-
uppercut a punch, yeah.
But when you're talking about Captain Falcon, you say the punch.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
the Falcon
okay,
punch.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. True enough. You have me defeated there. You have me, sir. But
I mean, on this podcast, we've also asked, is a bite a grab with your teeth? So this is all on par for
It
our
is.
bullshit.
And we're about to ask what is a curse. So
so,
Yeah.
fair enough. I personally think that as far as the ending goes, so spoilers, I wasn't a fan of a lot of this film, but I did quite like the perspective of Mia as a spirit. I thought it was cool how like she saw everything in the hospital and then it all got really dark and then she was just kind of there and then got summoned.
It seems like everyone else at least got to have a good ending too, which I'm sure irked you.
I mean, I thought the characters were largely inoffensive aside from Jade's mom. I want nothing but the worst for her. But everyone else, I thought they were largely inoffensive. I liked Riley for what it's worth. But that being said, going back to like her getting pulled through the hand and I guess a guy in Greece summons her, I thought that was pretty legit. And it also kind of gives
I thought you meant the fucking musical for a second. I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh yeah, no. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective on why the spirits might be trying to kill folks, because maybe that's how they escape from the purgatory. If they can fully possess someone and like fully take them over, maybe they get to escape from the purgatory at that point. So that's why like the spirits always want someone to do that. Now, in terms of how Mia died, in my opinion, chances are highest that Mia threw herself off at that point, because there's a part where her father reads her mother's suicide note, but the spirit like denies it. So I was kind of like, I don't know which way this is going to go. But in retrospect, I do think Mia probably threw herself off. If I had to pick a second choice, I would say Mia was possessed fully and was then thrown off. So she died and her spirit would get stuck in limbo.
Yeah, because like in the beginning of the movie, she like they even say like if it's beyond 90 seconds, they're just inside you now. And her first interaction, what is she going to do? Or rather not what is she going to do? What it ends up happening, I should say. But like, yeah, it's not a good look. Another thing that I will say really quickly is that I am relatively certain that the spirit who was egging her on was not her mom, but in fact one of the earlier victims that happened before the events of the movie, particularly the drowned person, because we get a lot of motifs of water coming in and out as that particular spirit is talking whenever it has dialogue. And when we first, well, not first, but when there's a moment when Mia is looking at the spirit and it's kind of foggy and cloudy, almost as if you're underwater. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the ending.
Oh, by the way, Nico, I 10,000% agree with you that that's not her mom. And I did not think that was her mom from the very beginning. Because they tell you that like the spirits, they know what you want. And like they know you so fully. And so they probably knew that she could be so easily deceived by something that appeared to be her mother. Like they probably knew that that would be instant deception. And so I agree with you 1,000%. Like, and even when, you know, the spirit like denied it, that her mother would kill herself, she was saying what she wanted to hear. I would never want to leave you. Why would I do that? So I completely agree with you, Nico, that I think that's the case. Now, Dan, there was something you thought was kind of cool here. When Mia does a little ritual with Riley, one of the spirits actually kind of pulls her into the hand almost while she's still alive. How'd you feel about that scene?
I thought that was cool. Mia is trying to find where Riley is sort of in the spirit world or like what's happening to him.
Right.
And so she calls a spirit and it's this little girl. The little girl goes, "Oh, I can take you to him." And then holds out her hand and Mia takes it. And then it's like the reverse of what normally happens. And Mia goes into like the spirit's world or whatever. I don't know. And she sees what's happening to Riley being tortured. I thought that was
She
really
gets brain
cool.
blasted, if you will.
A little bit.
Whoa.
Yeah. But I kind of wish that, I don't know how they would incorporate that more, but I kind of wish they had, because I just thought that was a cool flip and a cool perspective there.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's interesting because I don't know if what she saw was even real. Because as far as you see at the ending, Riley's okay. And so it really could have been that, again, because this is a well-known trope in these kind of possession movies where somebody tells you a piece of advice like, hey, follow this advice. And namely, it's really big in like Christian possession, for example, movies, because it's about keeping the faith. And kind of similar to The Wailing, remember? There was a scene where the guy had to keep the faith and everything would be okay. Similarly, he says, hey, listen, the body will naturally reject the spirit after time. You just got to give it time. And they don't. And that's what leads to like...
Can you fucking imagine in a Conjuring movie if Ed and Lorraine Warren showed up and they were just like, Ayo, just chill on this for a minute?
Well, different universe, different rules. But yeah, that would be quite hilarious.
You know what's interesting, though, is that they do say the spirit fades over time, but for Mia, it gets stronger over time.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Mia, the spirit that's possessing Mia, gets stronger over time. It doesn't fade over time.
So if I can offer a theory, I think that
First
initially...
off, how dare you?
I think that
Continue.
initially Mia sees the spirit a little longer because she passed that 90-second time limit. And like Nico said, the guy said the spirits won't want to leave after 90 seconds. So I think that was the spirit trying anything that they could to get Mia to reinitiate the ritual. And then once you reinitiate, because that same night, Daniel takes her home and then she sees the spirit one more time. she's like still possessed. She sees a spirit one more time, and then she does the ritual again, and from there the ritual never stops, and the mother just grows in strength because she never stopped it. So
Always
that's
remember
my
to blow
thought
out your
process.
candles, folks.
Though I do agree, I thought it was a little plot holey that she was still able to be possessed. I mean, because she didn't go that far over the 90 seconds. I thought it was a little much that she was able to be possessed to that extent, that she's over here like slobbering on someone's foot after, you know, the events and everything like that. But your point is taken, Dan.
To be fair, nobody knows. I mean, who came up with 90 seconds? It's not like a hardcore rule.
That's fair.
I mean, I
That's
think
fair.
the kids even say they're like, we've never had anybody go over 90 seconds or something like that. So,
Yeah,
like,
and
they don't even know if it's 90 seconds.
I guess it's kind of like passed down, you know what I mean? So no one really knows. But I also want to ask really quickly here. So the hand in this, it's rumored that the hand is like the hand of someone who used to be able to talk to spirits. So when he died, they chopped off his hand, and that's what they used. And we had a debate on the podcast that we want to bring to you live now. Just real quick, Nico, you say this is a cursed artifact, right?
Yeah.
Because why is it cursed?
You touch it and bad shit fucking happens everywhere.
So I guess what does it mean to be a curse to you?
You touch it and bad shit happens everywhere.
So is fire cursed?
Well, fire isn't an object.
What is fire?
Plasma.
No, plasma's different than fire.
No, fire is plasma.
Is it? Is fire
Fire's
plasma?
Fire's
Yeah.
plasma, yeah.
We sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positive.
I mean, there's
Okay.
different temperatures of fire, but they all constitute plasma, yes.
Okay. Now, question for you: Is plasma what's an
Call that a
object?
fire emblem.
What's an object?
Something that is physical and can be interacted with in a three-dimensional space.
Can fire not do that?
How are you going to interact
No,
with fire?
You can't.
You can't interact with fire.
Barehanded? No, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to get burned.
I mean, you
There's
can,
no
like-
interaction. There is only wounds.
I mean, you can like put it out. Is that not interacting with it?
No. Like, using your body interact with it in a 3D space, not using some other apparatus.
Nico also said a physical thing, and I'm pretty sure he did. Fire's not
Yes, I did.
physical.
So it needs to be a solid.
Okay, so your requirement is that it has to be a solid.
Yeah.
That when you touch it, like bad things happen.
So we're going, okay, then, yeah.
I feel like there's a number of other everyday objects that could qualify under that.
So the
But-
part that does it for me is supernatural. You throw in supernatural to Nico's definition, and that's it.
See, there you go. That's what I was looking for. But I think the hand is just a tool. I think it just allows you to communicate with the dead. And
But that goes
What you're-
beyond the tool. Like, what is a tool then in your mind?
a tool is something that allows you to do something easier that you couldn't do before. So, for
So is
example, a
that-
hammer is a tool that lets you nail something in.
Is fire a tool?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay. Okay. So anything can be a tool.
Anything can be a tool.
Ah, you're a tool.
So that's what I'm saying. I think of this as more so a tool, though, because I think it helps you talk to the dead. It's a conduit, you know, it's that kind of thing. I don't necessarily consider it to be cursed because, again, you know, it's kind of like if you do something, you know, like there's a lot of objects you could interact with that lead to bad things happening if you don't follow the rules. But if you do follow the rules, everything's okay. So that's why I'm just like, is
I
it
think
cursed?
it's a curse because I think it doesn't want you to follow the rules. The rules are there to make sure that you don't fall prey to the curse. But
And to lull
If-
you into a false sense of security, methinks.
yeah, if the object has its way, then there will be harm. I think it's the spirits that it's calling are intending to harm you. And the rules are set so that you don't get harmed.
Similarly, I would consider the fucking murder Rubik's Cube from Hellraiser to be a cursed object more than a tool.
So the Cenobite puzzle box to the side, I think that for me, what defines something being cursed or not cursed is by virtue of the fact that you use it, something bad will happen to you. I.e., for example, let's say there was a sword that you just found, right? You got a sword. And anytime you use the sword, any damage you inflicted onto somebody would also be inflicted onto you. It's non-negotiable. That's going to happen. I would say that is a cursed object. By virtue of the fact that you use the object, it is something bad is going to happen. I think that this hand, I wouldn't necessarily call it cursed because, again, you can use it completely free of any negativity. I think it's dangerous for sure. Yeah.
I would call interacting with the spirits of the dead a not very good thing in this context.
That's your condemnation and your judgment, Nico. But I will say, I think it's a tool. But, it's for the streets to decide. We've all given our point. I think streets will decide. But I do want to know, how does this compare to other potentially cursed artifacts we've seen? And is this a lot like Ouija?
What? Explain. Talk to me, Justin.
I mean, it's a tool that allows you to talk to the dead, just like Ouija stuff is.
Okay. And if you don't follow the rules, you get possessed, just like Ouija.
What are the rules for Ouija then? Because I feel like just anytime you use it, you're just fucked.
They change up the rules every time, but typically it's like you form a circle, you have to do a ritual, and you have to you have to log off when you stop using the Ouija board. I mean, you do though. You have to log off, otherwise the portal remains open and you can get possessed. That's literally the plot of like every Ouija movie ever. So I think for me, like the hand is just kind of like a substitute for a Ouija board, realistically, because it's almost like the same thing, pretty much. There's like very little difference. But that being said, how'd you guys think it compares though to something like that, particularly you, Nico?
I mean, I think it was a really cool idea, and just the visual artistry on display with the hand. The hand itself looked fucking cool. Like, however, whatever team of artists were on top of that, just like bravo, it was very well done. And I think that in comparison to, again, just my natural inclination is to go back to the little box of pain from the Cenobite world. I think it's something that is inventive. I liked it.
I would struggle to call it inventive, but I agree it looked cool. But I now want to really quickly touch on the themes of this movie. What do we think about these themes?
I think one of the themes is addiction.
I agree.
And especially playing into the theory that that Nico posited earlier of the fact that Mia's mom is not really her mom, and it's some other evil spirit that's using things to get her to see, to influence her to do certain things. I think that's another point towards the theme being addiction of the drug or whatever it is you're addicted to, like twisting facts and twisting the world to make you want to do more things. So,
I agree with that. And I think one scene that really stood out to that point was, it's almost kind of like, when everyone's doing something, some kind of drug or something wrong that they're not supposed to be doing. And then something bad happens.
The only drug I need is the love of Christ, brother.
Well, ironic that you say that, because Daniel, who's supposedly full of that, he sits down and he goes, I'm never going to touch it again. I'm never going to do it again. And that is well, that's the thing. And that's very much so like what somebody would say right after something like that happens. So
yeah,
I agree with you 100%. Nico, are there any other themes in this movie you can highlight? Addiction was a good one, Dan.
Drugs is bad. There's the good old fashioned A24 trauma on display here that I know you're just such the biggest fan of as well.
Oh, well, why don't you go ahead and explain it? Because I don't think I can.
Darn. I really just wanted to hear some hot fire. But yeah, so there is some drama and character depth and There is just a whole bunch of family trauma that Mia is going through, and somewhat confronting, somewhat ignoring, but still just reckoning with throughout the duration of the film. And personally, I love that shit. That's one of my favorite things to see done in the genre of horror. But Justin, go off, King.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how the movie like showcased grief and I can't fucking say that, bro. Oh my god. Listen, I'll keep it brief, okay? I'll keep it brief like Dr. Briefs from Dragon Ball. But I wish on a Dragon Ball that they would stop fucking making movies like this, bro. All right, let me explain. Don't even fucking lie to me, bro. A whole host of people who were on this movie also were on the Babadook, right? That's facts. And for me, this film like was Babadook-esque, A24-esque. Like
Oh, I
this.
wonder why.
Oh, you from
Well,
G.
I feel-
Willikers.
I
Real
feel like
mystery
this,
you've
right?
set forth.
Let me break it down like this. So I walked into this movie completely unspoiled, right? I knew nothing about this movie. I was super excited to see it because everyone that I talked to pretty much was like, "Hey, this movie is like top tier shit." No one used the P word around me though. No one told me it was prestige horror, but it was such a good movie, very original, very creative, very inventive. But as Nico said, it's just the same. Like, and again, I haven't seen every A24 horror movie, so I cannot certainly make the claim that all their horror movies are the same way. But all their horror movies are the same way. And it's always the same trauma, grief shit every time. Bro, I could sit down and I could make an A24 pro tag for you. Like, it's easy at this point. And it's to the point where, you know, I think back when the Babadook dropped, as much as I dislike that movie, if you harken back to the review, you'll hear me say that I don't like the movie largely because of, I'm not going to spoil anything, but because of the monster and what the monster actually is. But that movie spoke about mental health, right? And at that point in time, back in the day of 2014, there weren't really a lot of movies like that covered mental health the same way that movie did, right? So in that way, you could give the Babadook points for originality. And I feel like just in the years thereafter, you know, Ari Aster had Hereditary and Midsummer. And, you know, like, I fucking love Midsummer. Midsummer is like one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And that movie is straight up an exploration of grief. And I think just for me, I am so burned out on these, like, it almost feels like they make grief happen in these movies to give it more gravitas. But for me, on a personal level, I feel like oftentimes there's like a tug of war. And I'm not suggesting that something can't be both horror and drama, but I feel like sometimes the movies, in my opinion, they kind of end up like middle of the road almost. And they don't become full explorations of the grief, and they don't become full explorations of the horror. They just become some kind of hybrid that doesn't always work out, in my opinion. And that's unfortunately how I feel about this one too. Like, it just kind of feels like that to me. So yeah, grief is definitely a theme. Trauma is a theme, but I feel like they're just there, you know? And I feel like what was that one movie with the butterflies?
Before I Wake.
Yes. Like,
Movie where a
that
kid got
one-
in trouble for using his medication or whatever the fuck.
yeah, good times.
It was dumb.
But like, even that, I even feel like that kind of mixed everything in a little bit better than this one. So, and I know that this is not this movie's fault at all. So this part is not going to influence my score, but I'm really tired of people
Let it.
just like, no, because it's not the movie's fault. But like, I'm really tired of people hyping up like, oh, there's grief and trauma. This is automatically so deep. And like,
Midsummer.
Man.
Hey, you're free to your opinion, America. But I'm just saying that it's one of those things where it's like,
I'm on a podcast with fucking Philistines listeners.
oh, but I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like, hey, this is not always great just because there's grief and because there's, it's kind of like melodramatic in moments. I feel like sometimes those emotions can take away from horror. And, that's why I'm really here. I'm really here for the horror side of it. And I feel like, you know what? I'm going to just be blunt. Ari Aster is a fucking master, bro. He is. Like, Ari Aster is really fucking good. And maybe, after I've eaten at a 5-star restaurant, Burger King ain't cutting it for me no more. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. You ready for the shortest what would you do ever?
Yep.
Sure.
Hey guys, I'm having a party, and at my party, someone's bringing this hand that could like possess you, and you might die. So, but you just can't go over 90 seconds. Who's gonna volunteer to get possessed by the hand?
Nope.
Nope. Okay then. Official DOTD stamp. We don't fuck around with getting possessed. If you don't know, now you know. So there you go.
Nah. We've always said in our what would you do is that can't be nope. We just wouldn't do this movie.
Oh no, I know. I have a second, but the real one though is this. How would you are in the situation of Mia, right? So Riley's already possessed. Riley is already possessed, and I might not even make you Mia. You might be. What were the other two guys' names? There was. Fuck me. Oh, there we go. Haley and Joss. You're Haley and Joss. We're Haley, Joss, and I'll be the Tweeka because Australia has some wild ass fucking names.
Come again?
Yeah, I'm gonna call you that from now on.
So, regardless, we're all here. That's an Australian ass name, bro. So, do you know what the one dude's fucking brother's name was?
Oh, at the start?
Bloomin'
Yeah.
onion.
Ducket?
Ducket. What the fuck
Ducket.
kind of name is Ducket?
It's better than Tweeka.
Yeah.
No, bro,
By
that's a real
leagues.
name. That's a real name.
So
Anyways.
is Ducket.
No, it's not. His parents had a typo. It's supposed to be an F. But anyways, all I'm going to say is this.
Duckoff.
Let's say that you knew this was going on with Riley. What steps would you take to free him from the possession, or what would you do? And you also know what the brother said, that if you give the body time, it'll heal. But Riley doesn't seem to be healing.
Just get him some ginger ale.
I'm gonna need a real answer from you, Nico. Nah, you slicked out of these too many times.
I would ask the brother, I would try to get the brother to answer more in depth. Like, oh, well, how do you know it gets better with time? Because, his brother was possessed and killed himself. So that didn't get better with time.
True.
So, how do you know this? And if it seems credible, I would try to get better with time. After a while, Riley does start to get better before Mia comes in and fucks it up some more and tries to kill him. I would, try to track down those answers and see if that is a viable option.
All right. So you're going to go on almost like a Japanese Ring almost style journey and try and figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
If that didn't end up working, I guess I could just default to the old Sir to sleep number pillow suffocation, smother him, get him out of his pain experience.
I see. Well, for first thing, I don't trust no ghosts. Just can't do it. So the number one thing I would do is, once I talk to the one guy and he's like, the body will naturally repel it over time, I would honestly put my faith in that. I feel like that makes sense to me. And as far as like redoing the ritual so that they shut it off, ironically, I think that actually fixed him. I think that was it. Because it was like immediately after that he started to get better. She was like, oh, he's doing a lot better now. Which, happened like right after she blew out the candle and effectively shut off the ritual a second time.
That part didn't make sense to me.
Because she said talk to him instead of him saying talk to me.
That's one, yes. But two, they talk about it being like a door or something. So
You
like,
know our
they
whole
opened
thing
the
on
door.
that.
Well, that too. But they talk about how they opened the door, but they didn't close the door, right? So redoing the ritual is opening a second door. And if you close that one, you close the second door, but you still didn't close the first door, right?
Oh, fuck.
Well, is it a second door or is it reopening the same door?
Well, how can you reopen something that's already open?
can
You
open
push it
wider.
aside even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Then you have to like close it harder.
Or maybe it's a revolving door and you just like go around the carousel a few times.
Yeah.
What kind of door? Is
Um,
it? Sliding door?
It's like a kitchen door where it just goes like.
Yes. Well, regardless,
Mario ass door is that?
Don't worry about it.
regardless, I see your point, Dan. I take your point. That is somewhat confusing. But yeah, I think that's what I do. And I think that's what that is. So now I want to turn to the critic review. And oh boy, what do you guys think this movie got?
I bet it's really fucking high, and I bet that makes you really fucking mad.
I'm going to say it was a 73.
I'm gonna say it was you said 73? I'm gonna say 93.
You don't know already. Nico won.
Of
It's a
course.
94% from critics on Rotten
Wow.
Tomatoes. And it's gotten 82% from the audience. But I want to know your thoughts. I mean, we've talked a lot about this movie. We've spoken at length. But if you could just give a super brief synopsis of your thoughts, and what's your score?
I had a lot of fun with this movie. I liked it a lot. I'll give it what the audience gave it, an 82.
I also enjoyed the movie. I'm right there with Nico. I thought it was pretty cool. I enjoyed the premise. And maybe it wasn't the absolute newest, most original thing out there, but I like how they did it. And I'm also going to give it an 82.
So I didn't enjoy this movie as much as either one of you. I don't think the movie is quite as deserving of all the praise it received. I think judging it on its own merits, it's Ouija with an Australian flavor and some grief thrown in for good luck. So while the movie isn't like horrible or anything like that, I think it's just pretty by the books as far as a Ouija movie goes. I mean, they literally told them the rules at the start and then they fucked around and found out. Sorry about it. So I'm going to give this one a 73. I think it's passable. I don't think there's anything like explicitly wrong. with
Higher
the
than I
film.
was expecting from you.
Yeah, same.
I just don't think it's the next coming or whatever, you know? So
Of? You
I
gotta
don't
say
know.
coming of something, bro.
It's just coming.
I hate it. Great.
yeah, the movies start coming and they don't stop coming.
They don't stop coming and they don't
And
stop coming and they don't
Okay,
stop
yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you, Nico. Okay, so with that out of the way, put all your chips on the table. Would you guys recommend this one to our listeners out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not what you think, because I'm gonna say yes. And does this get the golden seal for anyone?
No.
Nah.
No. Well, there you go. So recommend from us. If you're into possession, if you're into drugs, or if you're into a good old grief fest, this might be the one for you. Or if you're into A24 style, this could also be one you really enjoy.
If you have very fond feelings towards Eowyn from Lord of the Rings, prepare
also
to be
like this.
upset.
Yeah. I still feel like there should have been like a little cameo line like, no man's ever gone more than 90 seconds with the hand. Oh, I am no
I am
man.
no man.
All right. She was the mom, for those of you who didn't know. But take care of yourselves. Make sure not to shake hands with any nefarious detached hands. And as always, dear listener,
Please review us. Tell your friends about us. Give us a 5-star rating if you can on any of the platforms that you listen to us on. It means a ton. And also word of mouth's great. We love you.
And just like the name of the movie, you can talk to me. Talk to us.
that's right, because we are on social media. We're on Instagram and X at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. Don't open that door. Plus, you can catch everything on our website that we've done, which is dotdhorror.com. But till next time, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.